name is Diego Garetto Morande, and this is my data journalism installation for designing with data. Where to go next? So with this installation, I aim to evaluate, rank and compare selected countries to inform nomad people like me and help them decide where to migrate in the short term. The main issue that I am dealing with here is deciding where to migrate after I finish my master's. So for this, I will be evaluating some life aspects like healthcare access and quality, life expectancy, public expenditure on healthcare, public expenditure on education, gross domestic product per capita, house pricing, and happiness indexes for certain countries. Um, to the for the focus, for this project, I will keep the scope on just the countries of Chile, Italy, USA, Canada, New Zealand, and Australia. Um, the audience profile number one is this guy, William McAllister. He's from Melbourne. He's 26-year-old and lives with a roommate. He's studying a master's degree at RMIT of Technology, and he will finish this year. And he's thinking of moving to another country to get hired by a big tech company. He is visiting the NGB to grow his network by meeting with digital experience artists. The next audience profile is Fedora McDonald's. She lives in California. She's half. She speaks English and Russian, and she just finished her degree in biodesign. So she's looking to settle in a country. She likes big houses, and right now she's traveling around Southeast Asia and Australia, New Zealand, and is deciding in which country she will settle to have a family in a big house. And is visiting the NGB with a friend, hoping to expand her design knowledge. So my methodology on this research, I first acquired the data, conducting secondary research. These are my sources, and then I parsed the data to understand it, filtered it, to get rid of the useless data and produce information, which then I represented to have a better understanding of of this information and refine it to have a clear display of what I want to show in the exhibition. So this is the data I acquired. Here there is the healthcare access and quality, life expectancy, public expenditure on healthcare. I acquired this from our World in Data, also from the same website and from the UNESCO Institute of Statistics. I got this information, which is the daily cases of COVID-19, public expenditure on education, GDP per capita, and also from the Global Property Guide, I got this house pricing, which is the price per square meter on the main capital on the capitals of these countries. So from the World Happiness Report, I got this happiness index, which ranks each country in the world in from first to the last one in terms of how happy the people on that country is. Parsing the data, I did a little structuring in the house pricing. First, I transformed the amount from euro, sorry, to United States dollars to compare all these prices in the same currency, and then I ranked the countries I was working with, which are Chile, New Zealand, Australia, Italy, Canada, USA. In terms, I rank them. I arrange them in terms of in which country do I have more acquisition power to buy houses. This is for example, Chile is the first one. This means with the GDP that Chile has, I can buy more cheap square meters for housing purposes. So to reduce the scope of this project, I filtered the countries in all acquired datasets to Australia, Canada, Chile, Italy, New Zealand, USA, and Word when available for comparison. Eventually, most countries should be eligible for people to compare in the exhibition. So these are some graphs that I got from the website or wording data of the same aspects I just mentioned before. This is the healthcare access and quality index, the life expectancy, public healthcare expenditure as share of GDP per capita, and government expenditure on education as percentage of GDP. Okay, so it's important to notice that not all the countries have the data until the last year, so I will be using uh, the available data, which is the last recorded data for each country. In this case, for this particular aspect, I will be comparing, let's say, Chile number from 2017 against United States of America number of 2014, as this is the last record that I have, the last data that I have. So I create this graph of the relative house pricing, which is what I shown on the table before, parsing the data, which is the ranking of which country has the, in this case, is most expensive until the most cheaper square meter, comparing with each country GDP. And this is the happiness index for the countries that I selected. So my design approach first was this one, which is design interactive globe in which the user can click each country and get all the information from it, as well as its ranking on the different topics. A second approach was this one, which is designing an interactive word heat map in which the user can select each topic for the map to represent each country position. The user can get extra information when hovering over the countries. And my last design approach was this one, which is inspired on the website from box.com about the health prices. It's an interactive website in which the user scrolls through it and discovers information on each topic with the ranked countries. Finally, I didn't do none of my design approach. I went with another completely different one, which I will explain now. So exploring the concept of migrating to another country as a journey from point A to point B, I designed a walking data journey installation through a pavilion, displaying selected countries using conceptual and abstract representations for comparison. So this is the pavilion I designed, in which people will walk through it, and on the inside, the information of the selected countries will be displayed for people to compare. So I designed these informational panels, so people can understand what's going on inside the pavilion. The first one, the welcoming panel. This one tells people what is the exhibition about and how each elongated stripe represent each country with its conditions. There are two conditions here. I mean, there are two representations. One is the path of the migration. These triangles are birds who migrate from point A to point B. This is animated, but for this presentation, I had to use pictures of it. So birds fly from left to right, following, staying inside of this path, and the widthness of the path represent the different aspect of life that I am evaluating. So if its width is big, that represents that country has a good ranking on that concept. Let's say here Australia has a good healthcare access and quality, but has a bad public expenditure on healthcare as share of national GDP compared to the other countries. It's a ranking of comparisons. Similar as I just explained, the background, which are these green cells organisms, they're also animated and they interact with their neighboring cells, following some rules that are determined by the same variables. For example, if all of these are very good rankings in comparison with the other countries, the cells will live for longer, and if they are bad numbers, the cells will die very quickly on the background. So there's a country selection panel, which people has to choose 4 countries to be displayed on the inside of the pavilion. And there is exhibition bottom panel, which is the bottom panel inside of the pavilion, and this one explains which aspect of life is the graphic showing on that section. This part here is life expectancy. This part here is the house purchasing power relative to national GDP, and so on. So this is how the inside of the pavilion will look like. This is an example with these 4 countries: Australia, Chile, Italy, and New Zealand. As you can see, the paths are very different, and the backgrounds also differ a lot on their behavior, following numbers on these aspects. So this is the installation in place mock-ups, my hero shots, um, on the Melbourne Museum, I mean on the NGV, sorry. And as you can see, here is the pavilion with the countries displayed on the inside part. This is the bottom information display, and this is the first informational display where it explains how the exhibition works. And on the side there's the country selection. As you can see here, there it is. There's a guy interacting with the selection of countries, changing what is inside of the pavilion. Here's another hero shot of the installation mockup, with this lady interacting. I forgot to mention, each one of these long stripes is tactile, so people can touch it, and they will be adding another flag to the country of their selection. By touching it, they will not also adding another flag, other bird to the flag. Sorry, they will adding cells to the background, so these cells will keep interacting with the other cells. As a conclusion, the exhibition Where to Go Next represents a simplification of critical aspects to consider when moving from one country to another. I mostly consider some financial, educational, health, and happiness elements of each country, leaving aside important life factors such as job, sports, cultural, and culinary elements. These elements could be incorporated into the future development of the exhibition. Also, the exhibition could include sonic and haptic components for a more sensorial experience, creating a richer and stronger engagement with the main design concept. I think the selection of countries, the animation component, and the vibrant colors used to display the information successfully invites people to explore and discover a migration journey. My reflection: the course designing with data has revealed an exciting field that was unknown to me. Gathering data, understanding it, transforming it into information, and successfully representing it unveils a tremendous opportunity for my professional development. During this course, I developed an analytical mindset in which I learned to identify and understand absolute and relative data, and to have a more robust critical approach with the information I consume and produce. I firmly believe that the skills and abilities gained through this course will be helpful and applicable in my future development as a designer, and I hope to keep digging into this field to become an informed professional. Thank you very much.